Welcome to our last session of our Skill Up, How to Get Hired with Your Skill Set series. This event is a program series designed to equip our SNHU students with the understanding of their career readiness skills. Thank you all so much for being here today. We're excited. My name is Brooke Brigham, and I am a career engagement partner with SNHU Career Services, and I am joined today by my colleagues, Alyssa Liskowski and Sonia Muffet, who will be monitoring the chat box and assisting behind the scenes. Sonia just put a question in the chat box for you all. So where is everyone from? Feel free to add that to the chat. I am also joined today by one of our associate deans from our social science programs and an employer representative from Days Jewelers, who we will be introducing them later on. Today, we'll be highlighting the career readiness skill known as teamwork. And our intention today is to help students understand the value of having this crucial skill and understand how to translate what you are learning in the classroom or in your degree into the workplace. So we will begin this session with a quick overview of today's career readiness competency. Then you'll hear some engaging insights from our academic dean, followed by an open Q&A from our awesome employer guests. And then we'll conclude with some action items and next steps. So let's get started by first introducing our SNHU Career Services team and our available resources. So individuals with accessibility needs requiring accommodations may reach out to, and for online students, you can reach out to the OAC at snhu.edu or 866-305-9430. Campus students, CAC at snhu.edu or 603-644-3118. And SNHU staff and faculty, you can reach out to HR at snhu.edu. A request for live captioning or live ASL interpreting requires at least 3 weeks advance notice. If you would like to enable live captioning during the session, click the More Actions icon, should be at the top of your screen, select Language and Speech, and then select Turn on Live Captions. Current online SNHU students and alumni are encouraged to connect with our dedicated career services team for career guidance and help anytime. You can follow us on social media platforms and view our central virtual career center, Career 360. Our virtual career center site, Career 360, you'll be able to browse and explore our career readiness page. Here you will find various resources and career videos related to upscaling your career readiness skills. So for example, each of these series sessions are being recorded, and once completed, they will be added directly to this page for you to view and watch back at any time. So what is career readiness? What have we been talking about? It is the process of developing skills and knowledge needed to be successful in the workplace. It's a framework that helps students and alumni prepare for their careers. Career readiness skills, often called career readiness competencies, are the skills, experiences, and attributes that prepare you for a successful career. A competency is a skill, task, strength, or personal quality that allows you to do a specific job role well. Today's highlighted competency is teamwork. Teamwork is defined as being able to build and maintain collaborative relationships, to work effectively toward common goals, while appreciating diverse viewpoints and shared responsibilities. Sample behaviors of teamwork include listening carefully to others, effectively managing conflict, being accountable, building strong relationships, and being agile. Let's explore this skill even further. And so now I will turn it over to our Associate Dean in Social Sciences, Josh Guerin.
Hello, everyone. Josh Guerin here, Dean of Undergraduate Psych. I am super excited to be here with you today. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about one of my favorite topics in the whole wide world, teamwork. If you're anything like me, you may ask yourself lots of questions. How can I be a better collaborator? When I'm working with different people, how can I manage personality clashes? How can I resolve conflicts? And the million-dollar question, how does being an SNHU student help me to become the best teammate I can be? Next slide, please. I'm going to fill you in on a little secret. Your entire SNHU experience is one elaborate exercise in building teamwork skills. It really is. Just look at who your teammates are. Your peers are your teammates, your instructors and advisors are your teammates, career advisors, academic support specialists, Shapiro librarians, help you support staff. You are very resilient. And here's how I know this. The simple choice to become a student is you saying, I'm not afraid of challenge, bring it. Throughout the term, many of you, and I know this firsthand experience, many of you navigate some really tough circumstances. Stress at home, medical issues, tech glitches that make you want to throw your device out the window, things that inhibit your ability to progress. Yet regardless of what it is you face in any given moment, you still manage to connect with your instructor, your advisor, let them know what's going on in your world. You still find a way to post the discussion eventually and eventually submit that milestone assignment. And therein lies the irony of being a student. The challenges can sometimes feel like a losing battle, yet you constantly prove to yourself and those around you that you can win the war. So never underestimate your ability to thrive in the face of adversity, and never forget that your peers, your instructor, your advisor, they are thoroughly impressed by your drive to accomplish the mission, even when it feels like mission impossible. Next slide, please. You're an empathetic listener. No matter how fascinating the curriculum is, the most powerful aspect of any course you take, it isn't in the curriculum itself. It's not your awesome instructor either, no matter how much you love them. When it comes to building teamwork skills, the most powerful aspect of any course you take at any time in your degree program is the diverse mix of attitudes and energy that you and your teammates bring to the forum. You might be wondering, okay, how does that make me a better teammate? Listening to your peers talk about life through their lens is an opportunity for you to acknowledge the biases that are always kind of lurking beneath the surface. It's an opportunity to engage in civil discourse about the good, the bad, the ugly of the human condition, which we do all the time. By listening intentionally, empathetically, you have an opportunity to not just hear your teammates, but to better understand their experience, which can be uncomfortable because of how unfamiliar that experience may be to you. But the truth is, listening with empathy, real empathy, it challenges us to do the one thing that doesn't always come naturally to us, but can make us the ultimate teammate. It challenges us to step outside of our echo chambers, to blow up our comfort zone, and to realize that there's more to our teammates' lives than we could see with our own two eyes. Next slide, please. You're a growth-minded learner. So the discussion forum is, it's a powerful space for many reasons. One is that it it allows us to engage in a free exchange of ideas. It's a place for us to practice honoring viewpoints that are very often different than our own. And we know that's cool because divergent views can challenge us to see beyond our own frames of reference. We don't realize it, but the discussions are where we actually become comfortable interfacing with all kinds of people from all walks of life. Those who are completely willing to embrace different perspectives and those who are not. And at one point or another, we inevitably encounter a teammate who simply refuses to see through any other lens but their own. And that's okay, because that's a true reflection of the real world. But here's the thing. You are a leader who chooses to engage with a growth mindset, and you know what that means. It means you become the role model who shows your teammates that you're not only willing to embrace differences, but you feel empowered to learn and grow from those differences. Next slide, please. You're a support seeker. One thing we can appreciate about the classroom, it creates a very stable environment for learning to take place. Term after term, you log in, you access your course resources, check out the modules, and you set off on an 8-week adventure. Lots of consistency for sure. But what happens if the syllabus is confusing? Maybe one of the required resources in module 2 is a dead link. What happens if you have a family emergency and there's no way for you to get your work submitted by the deadline? The good news is that there is a practical solution for every single thing I just mentioned, and that solution is communication. Part of being a great teammate is being willing to seek support for any reason, from your instructors, your advisors, IT, academic support, anyone. But in order for those people to provide you with the highest quality customer service, they're depending on you to effectively communicate your needs. Because when they fully understand the nature of your issue, they can better strategize how to help you resolve that issue. Bottom line, asking for help is not a sign of weakness that leads to shame and disempowerment. It's not a deficit or a character flaw, but just the opposite. It's your superpower. Next slide, please. You are an emotion regulator. If you're human, you make mistakes. And if you're anything like me, you make a lot of mistakes. So let's face it, none of us are right all the time. It's how we learn. Despite your best efforts to rock that assignment, errors may have resulted in a bad grade. But rather than automatically interpreting that bad grade as a personal attack, check this out. You have the power to step back, take a few deep breaths, and stop yourself from internalizing that grade as a reflection of who you are, because you're not a grade. By saying to yourself, I feel frustrated, I feel angry, acknowledging how we feel is what helps us to manage how we feel, instead of allowing that whirlwind of feelings to hijack your thoughts. Because being a good emotion regulator not only helps us to remain calm, remember, your peers are soaking up your cool, collected energy. Your instructor's saying, wow, they are a rock star regulator. And you may not realize it, but you're role modeling another superpower, how to remain calm in stressful situations. And it may sound cliche, but it's true. We each have a pause button, and say it with me. It's 100% up to us to know when to smash it. Next slide, please. You're a critical thinker. You and your teammates are on a mission, and that mission is to critically evaluate the evidence that's been presented to you. Discussion, assignment, the prompts that you see in those deliverables that you've been responding to, they encourage open-ended responses. And this ensures that everyone dives deeper than a simple surface yes or no, or I agree, really digs into the topic. Ideally, we want to inspire a level of critical thinking that helps you to arrive at valid conclusions and make informed decisions. Over the years, many students have approached me and said, Dr. G, I want to disrupt the status quo. I want to change the narrative. I'm just not sure how to do it. You do it by analyzing the current research and engaging in discourse about what the research is telling us. You do it by collectively and objectively sort of looking at what that research says and deciding whether that research is valid and backing up your claims with supportive, credible evidence. And when you do, you take the first step toward changing the narrative and pushing the conversation in a new direction. Trust me, your peers are watching you. Your instructors are watching you. And in many cases, your narrative becomes their narrative. Next slide, please. You're an accountable ally. We all know that discussion boards are a powerful shared learning experience. Post after post, we contribute an idea, a concept, a question, something that shifts the dynamic. Each discussion also contains clear guidelines and expectations for how to optimize engagement. And this ensures that we understand the rules of engagement, because when we adhere to those rules, everyone feels safe enough to contribute authentically. Same thing goes for posting deadlines. Thursday night for initial posts, Sunday night for peer responses. Those guidelines are in place for a reason. Discussions are time sensitive, and your peers are depending on you to contribute something valuable during the time they anticipate seeing it. It's a collective effort, and your contribution might be just what your peers need to answer their own questions about the topic, to resolve some type of issue they were having themselves. So timeliness is everything. And like we said before, the discussion starts out as nothing, and over the course of a few days, it becomes this massive mountain of knowledge. And that mountain doesn't just magically appear. It's a byproduct of each of us showing up, challenging ourselves to share something valuable, and feeling accountable for putting in the work. Next slide, please. You are a pretty dynamic change manager. And you know the old saying, and the saying's true, change really is the only constant. At home, at work, or in the classroom, we are navigating some kind of change all the time. And hey, change can be scary, especially when it pushes us into unfamiliar territory. But we're gonna flip the script on change. When we stop viewing change as something to avoid, some very cool things begin to happen. We gradually become okay stepping outside of our comfort zones. We become more mentally agile, emotionally flexible, because change is very good practice for that agility and flexibility. We also become very receptive to critical feedback because we don't take it personally, and more willing to seek support because we don't feel ashamed to seek it. And we know that change can make us better collaborators because we know that we can more effectively navigate the change together. The truth is that each of us have a power to flip the script on change, from something that may induce fear or anxiety to something that can help us evolve into a more resilient version of ourselves. Bottom line, change forces us to become better self-managers, better relationship managers, better change managers. Next slide, please. You are an empowered influencer. Yep, you heard that correctly. And nope, I'm not referring to social media. Every word you share, be it in a discussion forum, in an email to an instructor or an advisor, every word you share has the ability to influence the way someone thinks and feels. Every question you pose in the general discussions forum has the power to inspire curiosity in someone. And lo and behold, the question that you ask may be the same question that someone else had, but they were afraid to ask it. And the answer that you received in that forum might be just what one of your teammates need to hear at just the time they need to hear it. And your words, they contain inherent power, the power to shift attitudes, power to reframe perspectives, the power to change minds. How do I know this? I've reviewed thousands of assignments in my life as an instructor, and let me tell you, I'm one of the lucky recipients of the power of your words. So for that, I thank you. Okay. Pop quiz time. You didn't know you were getting quizzed, but I have faith that you are very adaptable, very resilient, and you can handle it. So next slide, please. So if we were to take each of the skills that we just discussed and put them in a blender, we can describe them as a set of skills that can help us to recognize, understand, and manage our own emotions, as well as the emotions of others. Can anyone tell me what we call this set of skills? I'm going to give you a few hints. First hint, these skills show up in everything we think and feel and do. Second hint, each of us possess these to varying degrees, and we can continue to strengthen them with practice. Final hint, do we really even need it? For the BA Psych students here, it's one of the programmatic themes that you see in your courses all the time. I guess you don't need a bonus hint. I had one ready for you, but wow, beautiful. We have some very emotionally intelligent humans in this chat, which is so awesome to see. And it's true, EI shows up in everything we think, feel, and do. It's in our self-concept. It's in the words we choose when expressing our thoughts and feelings. EI shows up in our collaboration with others, just from your initial discussion threads and peer responses all the way to how you communicate your needs to your SNHU teammates. And EI is right there when you make decisions and solve problems, and how you regulate your stress levels when tensions run high, which we all know can happen within the context of teamwork. Final slide, please. So before I go, I just want to remind you that most people have varying levels of the skills that we talked about today. The good news is that all skills can be learned, and I'm going to very quickly share 3 tips on how you can become the most emotionally intelligent teammate you can be in any team situation. The first thing we need to do is hit pause to give yourself time to choose an alternative action. I know, in that moment of impact, we don't have time to hit pause, right? Wrong. There is a split-second window that exists between the onset of the triggering event and our response to that event. And in that window, never forget, instead of emotionally reacting to that thing, we have the opportunity to objectively respond to that thing. And trust me when I tell you, that ability to hit pause, it is your ultimate ninja warrior superpower. Next, understand the trigger behind your emotions. When conflict occurs, we have an opportunity to adopt an accountable position and ask ourselves, okay, hang on, time out. Did my thoughts hijack the situation? And if so, which thought was it? And how can I reframe it? And by developing that level of awareness, you can reduce those impulsive responses and eliminate any regrets you may experience down the road. Last but not least, take a moment to not only check in with your teammates, but check in with yourself. Remember, you owe it to yourself to check in with the one person who thinks all the thoughts and feels all the feels that cause you to say the things you say and do the things you do. You. That said, self-check-ins aren't just a nice option. They're not just something to do if you have time. They're the secret to bringing the best version of yourself to the team dynamic. And remember, these are all highly transferable skills, skills that you will cultivate at home, in the classroom, at work, out there in the real world. And if you're not currently working, that's okay. One day you will definitely put these skills in your toolbox and apply them in any career path you choose. I'm dropping some awesome resources in the chat for you, so feel free to check them out. And a big, sincere thanks to each of you for hanging out and being an awesome teammate to me today. I appreciate you. Back to you, Brooke.
Thank you, Josh, and thank you for sharing all of your insights on teamwork. I felt like this was so motivational. It was like all those superpowers and thinking back to how we're using the transferable skills in the classroom and taking them into not just the workplace, but everyday life. This was just truly amazing. So thank you for this. And if anyone does have questions for Dr. G, please feel free to put those in the chat as well. We can answer them at the end. Right now, I would like to welcome Kara. So Kara is a dedicated talent acquisition and compliance coordinator at Days Jewelers, recognized for inspiring and cultivating a collaborative environment. A proud mother of two amazing children, she is committed to grow through continuous learning and is passionate about empowering and supporting others to exceed in their goals. Kara, would you like to just say hello and introduce yourself quickly, and then we'll watch a quick video about the importance of teamwork in the workplace?
Sounds good. Hi, I'm Cara. I'm from Days Jewelers. I absolutely love the company I work for because we are so dedicated to teamwork. I think collaboration is something very, very important, and I loved this so far. That was very inspiring and motivational. I loved it.
Thank you, Kara. And I realized I was saying Kara. I'm so sorry. I have a friend named Kara. So
No worries at all.
okay, so let's watch this. Can you guys hear okay? Awesome. Thank you, Cara. That was an awesome video. And if anyone would like to check that out, that is also on that career readiness skills page that I mentioned before we started today. So now it's time for our awesome Dean, Josh Guerin, to begin our Q&A portion of today's presentation. So Josh, please feel free to take it away with this Q&A.
Right. Cara, I am honored to be able to ask you some really cool questions here. Are you ready?
I think I am.
Okay. First question, why do you believe teamwork skills are essential for candidates applying for jobs in your organization?
Well, my organization is definitely based on sales, but they're very emotional sales too. Jewelry isn't just a thing. It really takes hold of those emotions. So we need to be able to work together so we can adhere to different diverse perspectives and kind of meet the needs of our customers. We know that we're going to do a lot better together. So we do encourage split sales, we do have shared goals, and we're also an employee-owned company. So as co-owners, we're all empowered to kind of take charge, work together, and make sure that we can sustain the success of our organization.
That is awesome. And I could, based on what you just said, I really see how everything you do there really taps into the human experience. Definitely, no doubt.
It does, yeah.
Next question for you. How do you assess a candidate's ability to work in a team during the interview or hiring process?
We do have some standard sets of questions, but we also like to customize the questions. We kind of evoke storytelling, try to get the candidate to tell us some stories so we can see what they truly feel from their perspective. We know how it is important to us, but teamwork does involve a bunch of different skills, including like resiliency, communication. So we do continue asking those questions until we have a good idea of that. And actually, we kind of have a lengthy process too, where we involve multiple members of our teams so we can see how they interact with multiple of us.
Fantastic. I hear a lot of emotional intelligence in there too.
Yeah. It's my
Next
favorite.
question. Next question. Looking ahead, how do you see the role of teamwork evolving in the workplace, especially with increasing remote or hybrid work assignments?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting question too, because that human connection is so important and it is different virtually. I work in a hybrid environment, so I am home right now. I go to the office 3 days a week, but we can't offer that for a lot of our team members. So I think I see videos definitely being utilized so you can see those nonverbal cues and still having those times where you can connect with each other on a personal level. I think a lot more gets done that way and still allowing for time to work at home, but I think a hybrid one works out better. I travel to the other stores just to make sure that I can connect with people. And I make sure my communication's really clear too, where I kind of hone in on what we maybe talked about in the past so I can add a little personal touch to my communication, even when it's through the internet.
That's great. And
Mhm.
based on what you just said, I heard a lot of connection, a lot of
Yeah.
the need to maintain sustained connection, which is awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
Next question, how do teamwork skills influence an employee's potential for career growth or leadership roles within your company?
Well, our leaders are very supportive leaders as well. We have monthly sessions with each team member to make sure that they are feeling fulfilled. We offer educational opportunities so they can advance, kind of educate them beyond their job description. So being able to understand other perspectives and build that empathy is really vital to our leaders. And then it is vital to working together as a team as well. I have a great example because during the Christmas season, we're obviously extremely busy, like everybody's in the jewelry store. So I used to work for our Bangor team, and I actually went to go help out during the season, making sure that you have that connection with all of your coworkers. You can kind of look ahead and guess what they need. So we were able to service so many customers in a day. It was like probably 300 customers and just exceed all the sales because could be attentive to every single person by being attentive to each other.
That is fantastic. And as you're talking, like I remember, based on what I had just shared earlier, I was talking about how SNHU, one big integrated team trying to provide students with the utmost level of customer service, and that is basically what you're doing. That is fantastic.
Yes.
Final question for you. What advice would you give to job seekers who want to improve their teamwork skills before applying for a job?
Well, it's one of the things I think you already touched on too. Be an active listener. Don't listen to respond, listen to actually understand. Listen with empathy and listen without judgment. Kind of ask yourself, what do you know in those complicated situations where you meet the challenges? Sometimes our emotions are hard to regulate, and we think that maybe we're assuming ill intent when there isn't actually a harmful intent. So listen, and then collaborate and work together. Understand that somebody's perspective is valuable and so is yours. Teamwork doesn't mean that you say yes to everything, and it doesn't mean you have to be friends with everybody, but you should always be respectful and definitely understand or approach it without your own judgment.
Love it. Fantastic. Brooke, back to you.
Thank you, Josh, and thank you, Cara. Those were some great answers. And now it is time for you all. This is an open Q&A from those in the audience, so please feel free to type your question in the chat box and we'll read it out loud, or you can select the raise hand icon at the top of your screen and we'll make sure to unmute you so that you can then ask your question out loud. And so we have had a couple questions come into the chat. The first one that I wanted to ask is, and this is probably for more you, Cara, but if you're reviewing a candidate's resumes, what catches your eye? What were you like to see on that resume that might relate directly to teamwork?
Usually customer service aspect. You usually have to be a really good member of a team to have exceptional customer service. And that's something my organization is based on too, is exceeding customer expectations. So being able to identify where you do approach things with empathy and in collaboration is really important to us.
That's great. Great answer. And it's very interesting too, as you both have been talking and sharing this information. As you both know, and as hopefully a lot of the people here know, we've done sessions on verbal communication, written communication, critical thinking, and so it's very cool that we're talking about all of those different skills wrapped up into teamwork today. And so I appreciate that, Cara. The next question that I have is, and this might be more of an academic answer, maybe for you, Josh, but does SNHU have any life career skills classes?
SNHU does not offer any dedicated life career skills classes. However, I can speak from experience in the BA Psych program that when we redeveloped the program about 5 years ago, we were super intentional about building opportunities to practice key human skills that can be generalized to anywhere in life, from home to work to school to social relationships. The point is, we really went out of our way to design a program that was going to be marketable and going to help students to sort of take a toolbox full of skills out of the classroom and apply in the real world. The question was, how can I take all of this stuff that I am learning in this program, and other than my degree program, my concentration, can I actually take this stuff and apply it at home, in my relationship with my partner, in my social circle, in the classroom with my peer? We wanted it to be universally generalizable. So the point where I'm going with this is the life skills that you're referring to are embedded within the context of the entire BA Psych program. I could speak not so pointedly to a lot of the other programs at SNHU as well. There's a lot of opportunity for practical application of life skills embedded within the course curriculum of many programs at SNHU. But I'm the BA Psych Dean, so I will tell you, BA Psych is rich in it.
And it's good to, throw that in there a little bit too. Thank you, Josh. So another question just popped in. Thank you for asking this. No questions are silly. Would you count self-made teams for sports or a game club a good way to practice teamwork? Probably for you, Cara.
I totally would. Absolutely. That's another thing I look for too, is if they participated in sports, that shows that you are an active member of a team. So I absolutely would. Yeah.
What about you, Josh? Any thoughts?
Yeah, you know what? I will just add to what Cara mentioned. Like, there's something about self-made teams that are unique in the fact that there's a spontaneity there. Um, these are not organized teams. This is not a school sports team. This is some team framework that you and your peers created yourself, and that spontaneity could really promote opportunities to build skills sort of in real time on the fly without a structured framework. Something special about that. I like it.
You too. Thank you both for those thoughts. And thank you, Allie, for your question. That was a good one. Um, Cara, back to you. Uh, so, how, and I know you talked about this a little bit, but how do you encourage that collaboration in your workplace?
Um, so I am a really supportive type person too. So I always offer my help. And a lot of what you guys are saying too, there's no such thing as a silly question. So I encourage those questions. I always check in to make sure that maybe if somebody's hesitant to ask a question, that they have an opportunity in a more private setting. Um, I make sure that we could keep that collaboration going everywhere we go. Especially with that employee owned, kind of empowering people to think outside the box and to value other people's perspectives really helps that move forward as well.
Josh, any other thoughts?
As Can you repeat the question one more time?
Uh, how do you encourage collaboration in the workplace?
Yeah. So interestingly, I'm on a team of other deans. I work within the social sciences vertical, and I feel very, very lucky that I am working with people where collaboration comes very naturally. There's never ever a there's never ever a forced sense of I need to collaborate. Collaboration happens organically. It's something that is part and parcel of what we do as deans. That said, that concept sort of organically translates to the classroom. Students and instructors don't ever think about how they collaborate. They collaborate the moment both the student and the instructor enters the classroom, there's an automatic sense that there will be a collaboration here, whether we realize it or not. And that's where I'm going with this, and that's where I was going with this earlier. There's a sense that collaboration happens automatically, organically, without any real thinking involved. And I think there's something special about that, especially within the confines of SNHU, where we really part of our core values is communication and collaboration and teamwork. So again, it's just in a big roundabout way of saying that this is something that happens very authentically and organically.
Thank you for that. And that, Cara, too, I loved how you mentioned like being open and available. We were talking about this the other day with if a new employee steps in, how do you make them feel that they could be part of the team and could reach out? So I loved your answer there as well.
Mhm.
Um, next question is, do employers look for EI skills to be listed on a candidate's resume?
I don't necessarily. Just because there are so many different kind of tests you can take, I look for those skills to be demonstrated when we're meeting in person or on the phone during that interview. That's when I'm looking for kind of those skills, and I might ask about the challenges you face to kind of try to figure out how you kind of maintain your emotions. But we don't necessarily look for them to be listed.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm gonna jump to this question because I feel like it rolls in a little bit. So, how do you go about dealing with a difficult teammate, someone who might be closed off or not collaborative?
So that is obviously hard, but teamwork is part of that kind of stepping outside your comfort zone and overcoming those challenges. Um, a lot of times we do make a lot of assumptions. So I would go first towards clarity. If you feel like it's difficult, kind of clarify what the intent is. Ask those questions back to them or repeat back to what you're trying to kind of give them, deliver for a perspective, so you can get clarity on what the actual issue might be. Ask those open-ended questions again. You can't force anybody to kind of listen to your or to take your perspective, and you don't want to because that's not part of collaboration. But you do want to make sure that you're portraying it in a way that they can at least understand, even if they don't agree, and vice versa.
Right. Thank you, Cara. And
Thank you.
I'm going to throw this question to both of you, maybe Josh to you, because I think this was a part of your presentation. So the 3-point assertion message still a valid method for communication. For example, when you do a behavior, I feel blank because the effect of the behavior.
Yeah, so the 3-point assertion message, for those who aren't aware, first part's stating the behavior in a non-judgmental way. Second part is you say how it makes you feel. The third part is clarifying the effect of that on your life. My simple answer to this is absolutely still a valid method of communication because it really helps. First of all, it helps the communicator really analyze and assess the process as it is happening. Uh, there is absolutely no evidence out there to argue against this method. I use it all the time. I use it in my personal and professional life, and it is very, very effective for me, always has been. So by all means, yes.
Great. Thank you. And yeah, it gives you kind of a good, as you said, I think it was one of the superpowers, pausing and stepping back and then getting back into that
Yep.
conversation. Cara, going back into what we were discussing, how would you handle confronting an ineffective teammate?
Um, It does again depend on so many different circumstances. I do believe that communication is the best way to overcome challenges and collaboration. Obviously, that does take a lot of other skills in there. Um, so, confronting an ineffective teammate, honesty is also really important too. But if you're honest about your feelings, then you need to be honest that those are just your feelings on it. Make sure that it's not a personal attack because it's not a personal thing when you're talking about productivity or something that is a direct action. Behavior can be controlled to a sense, but it's still not a personal thing usually when it's ineffective. So stick to the facts.
Kind of go in with those good intentions
Yeah,
and knowing that that hopefully was what was in mind.
right. And
Uh,
clarity again.
yes, yes,
And I really like that as well, Kara, because sticking to the facts means we are looking at it through an objective lens. And in that sense, we can respond to this versus emotionally react to it. So that's really, really key. Awesome.
Yes.
Um, how do you know it's time to intervene in another teammate's disagreement, or should you just let them solve for themselves?
That's
Tough one.
another tricky one too. I feel like that's a parent question, even, right? um, uh, so I think pay attention to those nonverbal cues again. If you allow yourself to be open and make sure that your team is comfortable coming to you with any challenges, then they will involve you when you need to be involved. There's times where I have stepped in because I notice that somebody is getting flustered or having a physical emotional response. That's when I feel like maybe they do need to take themselves out of it for a little bit so they can maintain their emotions a little bit better. But it does depend so much. But I'd say if you're at the physical response, then you definitely need to intervene. Solving for themselves, that's another part of collaboration too. They do need to understand that there are other perspectives and practice the skills involved with teamwork. So I would always try to let them solve it themselves first, but make sure that they know I am there to support them.
A great supervisory perspective, too. I love that. So next question, do you believe that setting boundaries with teammates is important for teamwork?
Yeah, you have to set boundaries for yourself. I think you do. It's not work-life balance as much as it is like work-life harmony. We are all humans, and I think being human is definitely a strength. Like you mentioned, how it was a superpower. Setting our own boundaries, our own personal boundaries, is important as well.
Okay, and the questions are rolling in now, so this is wonderful. Thank you all for sharing these. These are some really great insights and show that everyone was really listening to all of the content that was shared. So next question is, and thank you for sharing this, if someone has a learning disability, how can they add that to their resume? And how does an employer manage an individual with a learning disability? And I just want to share before this that if you have a learning disability and you'd like to talk further about your resume, your cover letter, how to talk about that in an interview, please reach out to SNHU Career Services because we can make sure that it's showcased specifically for your needs that makes you feel comfortable, confident, empowered, and able to take on whatever that career goal might be. But do either of you have any other insights you'd like to share on that end?
I think everybody learns differently. So I meet with all of our new hires on the first day, and that's one of the things I always ask is, what's the best way that you learn? So how can I best accommodate that? And an employer, if we care about our employees, our co-owners, so we do care enough to make sure that we can accommodate in any way we can. We all learn different.
Very true. I'm definitely a visual learner.
Yeah, lots are
And
hands-on.
I could not have said that better, Cara.
Thank you.
Okay, so next question. If you are in a team with an inefficient leader, how would the rest of the team go about providing feedback or instilling that change?
That's a really tricky one.
You're getting some good ones
Yeah,
on the spot
because that
now.
is complicated, but you still can't change anybody personally. If you're with an inefficient leader, you can still kind of have your own subculture. You can still choose to do the best that you can. You can still provide feedback to your team members. And instill change within your own kind of subculture, and then do your best to communicate with the leader to try to make those changes there too. We in my organization, we do have approach your manager, and if that manager isn't able to see your side, then keep going up the line. I don't know if that's how it is at all organizations, and being with an inefficient leader is hard. But just remember that you still can empower yourself and you can still empower your teammates through teamwork, despite your leader.
Great answer. And so, on the other side, if you are the leader, what are your insights for how to improve or manage perceptions about an employee?
Um, I think it goes with emotional intelligence again, quite a bit. Just like we were talking about too, it's not productivity isn't a personal thing. Make sure it's not a personal attack. I do a lot of reading too, and a lot of just educating myself above and beyond. So there's different techniques that a leader can even continue their education on to make sure that they are communicating in kind of a better way to to their to their team. So I would say keep learning, keep trying, and practice the pause. Give people time to share their perspective and actually listen to it.
And during those different conversations and tough conversations, how do you, and even outside of those as well, how do you remain confident but not concede during teamwork projects?
Confident but not concede. So I think just accept that we're all human too. Um, your perspective is valuable, and to give that is very beneficial to everybody, but so is everybody else's. So sometimes they won't go with your answer. there's been a lot of times they haven't gone with my answer. And in a management team, we still have to be united so we can guide our team in the right way. So just remember that we are all human and give it a try. Sometimes, even as a leader, if you give an idea a try that maybe you didn't like at first, sometimes it works out wonderfully. So give your opinion in different ways, but also accept that maybe somebody else's opinion works out better.
I love that. And Brooke, if I could just jump on really quick,
Yes, please.
with regard to the giving opinion part, a healthy, assertive communication style, which takes time to adopt, takes time to learn, program that, but it's one that really does balance a respect for differences with your specific needs. And again, it takes time to navigate that, but the best thing in the world is to be involved in situations where you are not necessarily happy with the team dynamic. It's during those challenging moments that you really do find that voice, and it's something you just really, again, assimilate.
Yes, agreed. Those can be very difficult to navigate, but also can make you a stronger person and make those around you stronger as well. Okay, so we probably have time for maybe one last question here. So, how is the best way to deal with the supervisor that has employees that they're throwing under the bus when employees are doing the supervisor's job? Wow, that is a tough one there. So the best way to deal with a supervisor that is always maybe taking credit for or throwing their employees under the bus, but the employees are working hard and doing their job. How would you guys handle that?
I think a lot of it is a matter of perception too. I do believe that people are inherently good, but I've had a lot of bad supervisors too. And a lot of times it's kind of not being in the know, and it's that lack of teamwork that makes us believe that they are bad supervisors and that they are maybe throwing employees under the bus. So I would look for clarity again, and I would look to collaborate with those people, with the supervisors that seem to be kind of more negative. Like you were saying, challenges is where you grow the most. So if you could kind of approach them in a respectful way and kind of ask for clarity, I think maybe that's the best way to overcome that, maybe together. And sometimes, organizations will get fire people that don't need to be there. But everybody has a different leadership style. So keep that in mind too. It's kind of a matter of perception.
And on that, so I saw this one pop into the chat, and I don't want to miss it here, so I'm going to kind of roll it in together with your answer. But how do you suggest inspiring employees that now that some federal funding, DEI programs have been cut back, how do you suggest employees handle inequity, I should say?
Hmm, that's a really hard one. I mean, in all honesty, for my organization, we have our own programs that we don't necessarily, that we want to do good regardless of whatever federal implications there are. So I think there's a lot of employers out there that are still going to be doing good and making sure that there is inclusion there. So seek those employers. I mean, you want to work for somebody whose culture aligns with your values too. And I would say that those employers still are doing that.
That was a great answer, Cara. Love
Yeah.
that. Okay, so, and we're running out of time here. So, after now that we've kind of concluded this portion, and I'm sorry if we didn't get to your question, we can make sure to send those along to Cara if you weren't able to ask it today. But now we're just going to take a moment to check in with you all and see how you're feeling so far. So my colleague Alyssa is going to click launch and put a poll prompt into the chat and on the screen. So hopefully you'll see that in a second. There it is. So in one word today, and you can type right on the screen or in the chat as well and click submit. But in one word, how do you feel about teamwork after today's session? And hopefully we'll see some great responses rolling in here in a little bit. Ooh, some good ones already. Empowered, encouraged, confident, inspired. These are just amazing. And while those are coming in, Cara, I just want to, if anyone could click the reaction and give Cara a round of applause. This was just awesome today, hearing from you and all of your answers and just the great insights that you have, to our social sciences dean, Josh, as well. Thank you. See that Cara has put her LinkedIn in the chat. So if anyone is interested in connecting, please feel free to put your LinkedIn in the chat as well. And I love these words that are coming in. We, of course, have emotionally intelligent, determined, awesome, validated. These are awesome, everyone. Please feel free to keep those coming in. We just have a couple more slides here to go through. So I know we've covered a lot in the presentation today. We're just going to do some highlights and some takeaways and action steps that you can all bring with you as you exit. So here you can view a few helpful tips and examples as you begin to think about and assess where teamwork skills are. You could outline a SMART goal to help you practice your teamwork skills, complete a mock interview, or explore a helpful skills assessment resources on Career 360. So as I mentioned, the assessment tool, this is intended to help students and alumni identify their own proficiency with their teamwork skills. To use the assessment, review the competency definitions and behaviors, then select the score that corresponds to your self-assessment. So there are 4 levels of competency from which you can select. Emerging knowledge. So you may lack awareness of this competency and understand it's an area of growth for you. We're all growing. Understanding. You are growing in this area, but you're still working to improve. Early application. You demonstrate this competency very often, but struggle to articulate the experiences. And advanced application. You demonstrate this competency effectively and can easily articulate the experiences that led you to master it. So please feel free to take a look at that. And before we leave, we have just a couple more questions for you all. So we're going to launch, we have just 3 really quick, easy questions. The first one, what do you think is the most valuable takeaway from today's presentation about teamwork skills? So again, you can click it on the screen or in the chat. Communicating effectively with a team, resolving conflicts constructively, collaborating to achieve shared goals, recognize and leveraging individual strengths, or everything on the screen. So please feel free to select and click submit. And I'll just give you a couple seconds here. And then we have, again, just 2 more questions to ask all of you. The next one is, how confident are you in applying the teamwork concepts covered today? So please feel free to give us those stars, 1 through 5, not confident at all being 1, and very confident being 5. Hopefully that won't take too long. And then our last question here, I promise you, what aspects of teamwork do you feel the need to improve the most? And so this is for you. Rank them in order of importance for you. Maybe clear and open communication is at the top. We have conflict resolution on there, sharing responsibilities effectively, building trust within the team. We talked a lot about team building today, and contributing ideas and solutions. So again, please feel free to organize those the way you see fit and click submit. While you're doing that, we've come to the end of our series presentation. So thank you all so much for attending. A very, very special thank you to our Dean, Josh Guerin, and to our employer partner, Cara with Days Jewelers. And lastly, as a reminder, if you missed a session or would like to go back and watch a session again, you can head to our Career Readiness Skills page on Career 360 to watch the recordings. We really appreciate everyone's time today and are very thankful for those that attended, whether it was 1 session or all 4 of Skill Up, How to Get Hired with Your Skill Set. So have a great day, everyone. Hope to hear from you soon to discuss career readiness skills. Career services information is in the chat, as well as some of those links that I mentioned. So Have a great day, everyone. Thank you. Thank you again, Cara and Josh. This was absolutely amazing. So thank you both.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Have a good day, everyone.